He is known for his philosophy that emphasizes three distinctive points: his method, the results of his method, and the application of the method and its results to history, particularly the history of philosophy. He is recognized for his insistence on the importance of method in philosophy, advocating for the observational method of observation, analysis, and induction. His name is Victor Cousin. Victor Cousin, a renowned philosopher of the 19th century, was a firm believer in the necessity of a systematic approach to philosophy. He understood that eclecticism, the practice of selecting and combining ideas from different philosophies, required a solid foundation in order to be meaningful. Cousin himself remarked, "All eclecticism that is not self-condemned and inoperative implies a system of doctrine as its basis, in fact, a criterion of truth." From an early stage in his philosophical teachings, Cousin emphasized the importance of having a system to support his eclecticism. He recognized that simply combining ideas without a coherent framework would result in a blind and useless syncretism. For Cousin, a system served as both an illustration of the truth of his philosophy and a proof that historical facts align with his analysis of consciousness. Central to Cousin's philosophy was his emphasis on the observational method. He advocated for an approach that involved careful observation, analysis, and induction. This method, which he attributed to the thinkers of the 18th century such as Descartes, Locke, and Kant, aimed to uncover the facts of experience through an examination of consciousness. However, Cousin warned against the omission of any facts due to the prejudice of a particular system. He argued that if the authority of consciousness is to be trusted in one instance, it should be trusted in all instances. Previous systems, according to Cousin, had erred by failing to present the complete range of facts that consciousness offers. In his pursuit of a systematic philosophy, Cousin highlighted the importance of method, the results derived from that method, and the application of those results to the study of history, particularly the history of philosophy. He viewed these elements as interconnected and believed that they unfolded in a natural order of sequence, resulting in the development of psychology, ontology, and an eclecticism based on historical analysis. Victor Cousin's philosophical contributions continue to shape the field of philosophy, particularly in regards to the significance of having a well-founded system and the application of a rigorous observational method. His insights remind us of the value of considering all aspects of consciousness in the pursuit of truth. Victor Cousin, a renowned philosopher, believed in the power of observation and induction as the foundation for understanding consciousness and the nature of reality. He famously stated, "The observational method applied to consciousness gives us the science of psychology." According to Cousin, this method not only unlocks the secrets of the mind but also provides the basis for ontology, metaphysics, and the philosophy of history. Cousin's approach involved carefully observing the workings of consciousness and drawing inferences about the nature of reality based on these observations. He believed that reason, governed by certain laws found within consciousness, played a crucial role in this process. By combining observation and induction, Cousin's philosophy distinguished itself from other schools of thought. One such distinction was his departure from the deductive construction of absolute systems, as seen in the works of Schelling and Hegel. Cousin saw these systems as mere hypotheses and abstractions, lacking a legitimate basis. On the other hand, he also differentiated his philosophy from that of Kant and Scottish metaphysician Sir William Hamilton. Cousin believed that their approaches, while valuable in psychology, only offered relative or phenomenal knowledge, leading to skepticism regarding the profound truths of ontology. Cousin found that what he discovered through the observation of individual consciousness was also reflected in the common sense and universal experience of humanity. He saw philosophy as the task of organizing and explaining these universal convictions and beliefs. While he acknowledged the importance of common sense, Cousin made it clear that it was the material on which the philosophical method operated, rather than philosophy itself or its instrument. The ultimate goal was to align philosophical results with the harmony of common sense. Victor Cousin's observational method, coupled with induction, provides a valuable framework for understanding consciousness and reality. By embracing this approach, we can delve into the depths of psychology, ontology, and the philosophy of history. Moreover, Cousin's emphasis on reason and the harmony between philosophical results and common sense can guide us in making sense of our daily lives, helping us navigate the complexities of existence with clarity and insight. Victor Cousin, a renowned philosopher, delved into the depths of psychological observation to uncover three fundamental aspects of human consciousness: sensibility, activity or liberty, and reason. These three elements, though distinct, intertwine to shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Sensibility, or sensations derived from our senses, forms the foundation of our perception. It is through our senses that we apprehend the external world, distinguishing ourselves from the phenomena that surround us. However, Cousin recognized that sensibility alone is not sufficient for consciousness to emerge. Reason, on the other hand, serves as the illuminating force that guides our knowledge and understanding. It is the reason that enables us to comprehend both sensibility and the will, which it influences but does not constrain. Reason is the light that allows us to navigate the complexities of existence, and it is an indispensable element of consciousness. Speaking of the will, Cousin emphasized the concept of activity or liberty. He believed that true freedom lies in the spontaneous and self-active nature of volition. While reflective volition, driven by deliberation and determination, is essential, Cousin argued that there exists a primary form of volition that precedes reflection. This spontaneous volition is free and serves as the foundation upon which reflective volition is built. Cousin's perspective on liberty of will aligns with the realities of human experience. He maintained that many of our actions are carried out spontaneously, without deliberate thought. This understanding explains the enthusiasm of artists and poets during the act of creation and sheds light on the ordinary actions of humanity, which often arise spontaneously rather than through reflective deliberation. In essence, Cousin's psychological observations highlight the interplay between sensibility, reason, and the freedom of volition. By recognizing and understanding these three facets of consciousness, we can navigate the complexities of daily life with a deeper sense of self-awareness and purpose. Victor Cousin, a prominent philosopher of the 19th century, believed that the reason given to us by psychological observation, the reason of our consciousness, is impersonal in its nature. It is not something we create, instead, it is universal and necessary, opposite to individuality. Cousin emphasized the recognition of these universal and necessary principles in knowledge, asserting that they exist and are wholly impersonal or absolute. This understanding, according to Cousin, is the cornerstone of psychology and restores integrity to philosophy. Cousin disagreed with Kant's emphasis on necessity as the criterion for determining these laws of reason. He argued that these laws are not guaranteed to us by their necessity, but rather they are given to our consciousness through spontaneous apperception or apprehension. They are immediately and instantaneously present in a sphere beyond reflective consciousness, yet accessible to knowledge. Despite the reason becoming subjective through its relation to voluntary and free selves, Cousin believed that in itself, reason is impersonal and not restricted to humanity or even to humanity itself. Nature and humanity, he claimed, belong to reason, as without its laws, both would cease to exist. According to Cousin, there are two primary laws of thought, causality and substance. From these two laws, all other laws flow naturally. In the order of nature, the law of substance comes first, followed by causality. However, in the acquisition of knowledge, causality precedes substance, or rather, both are given to us simultaneously in consciousness. These laws of reason, causality, and substance, allow us to surpass the limits of the relative and subjective and delve into objective and absolute reality. They enable us to move from psychology, the science of knowledge, to ontology, the science of being. These laws, intertwined with volition and sensation, guide us in understanding personal beings, free causes, and impersonal realities, such as nature and the world of force that lies outside of us and affects us. Victor Cousin's philosophy of the reason urges us to recognize the universal and necessary principles that govern our consciousness. By embracing these principles, we can navigate beyond the subjective and relative, gaining insights into the objective and absolute. Cousin's teachings remind us to seek deeper understanding, not only of ourselves but also of the world around us, allowing us to approach life with a more profound perspective. Victor Cousin, a renowned philosopher, developed a system of thought that challenged the ideas of Kant, Schelling, and Hegel. He disagreed with Kant's belief that the unconditioned, such as infinite or absolute cause, was merely a hypothetical or regulative need. Cousin argued that the absolute, as the ground of being, could be positively grasped by the intelligence, making everything else intelligible. While Cousin agreed with Schelling that the supreme ground of all could be positively apprehended and a source of development, he strongly rejected Schelling's method. He criticized Schelling's intellectual intuition, viewing it as a mere negation of knowledge. Cousin questioned how one could know the intuition and its object if it falls outside the realm of consciousness. He believed that if it does fall under consciousness, it should be examined within the field of psychology, addressing the objections raised by Schelling himself. Cousin also criticized Hegel's concept of pure being as a mere abstraction, an illegitimately assumed hypothesis that lacked vindication. He pointed out that Hegel assumed the possibility of reaching pure being as a starting point, rather than establishing its possibility. Additionally, Cousin raised objections to Hegel's method of development, arguing that it undermined the principle of contradiction and used negation as a means to advance human knowledge and reality. In contrast to the intellectual intuition of Schelling and the pure being of Hegel, Cousin believed that a solid foundation for metaphysics could be found through an analysis of consciousness, specifically in psychology. He emphasized the importance of grounding essential knowledge of being in a thorough examination of the workings of the mind. Cousin's philosophy presents an alternative perspective to the ideas of Kant, Schelling, and Hegel. By emphasizing the positive grasp of the absolute and the analysis of consciousness, Cousin offers a framework for understanding divinity and morality in a way that is applicable to our daily lives. His approach encourages us to explore the depths of our own consciousness and seek knowledge that is grounded in understanding and introspection. Victor Cousin, a renowned philosopher, delved into the realm of the absolute or infinite, seeking to understand the unconditioned ground and source of all reality. In his exploration, Cousin recognized that our apprehension of the absolute occurs within the framework of consciousness, where we distinguish between subject and object, knower and known. However, his philosophy faced criticism from scholars like Sir W. Hamilton and Schelling, who challenged Cousin's views on the correlation between the infinite and finite. Hamilton argued that the correlation does not imply their correality, suggesting that the finite is simply the positive aspect, while the infinite is its negative counterpart. According to Hamilton, the finite and infinite are contradictory relatives, with only the positive being real. He contended that the negation of the finite does not imply foreknowledge of the infinite, as it is merely the abolition of specific attributes in thought. This critique exposed flaws in the Hegelian dialectic, undermining the entire logic of Cousin's philosophy. Another objection raised by Hamilton and Schelling was that the conditions of intelligence, as acknowledged by Cousin, inherently exclude the possibility of knowing the absolute due to their incompatibility with its unity. They argued that Cousin's absolute was merely a relative construct. Additionally, Cousin's deduction of the condition from the absolute was contested, as it rendered the absolute a dependent cause, inferior to its effects and lacking true divinity. Despite these criticisms, Cousin did not directly address them. Instead, he countered Hamilton's arguments by claiming that they restricted human knowledge to the realms of psychology and logic. Cousin believed that Hamilton's doctrine introduced uncertainty and nescience into the highest sphere of metaphysics, theodicy. Ultimately, Cousin's attempt to render the laws of reason or thought impersonal, by finding them in the realm of spontaneous apperception and above reflective necessity, proved unsuccessful. The laws of cause, substance, time, and space are perceived by us in specific forms, and no single act of affirmation can universally apply these laws. The only way to ascertain their universality is through our experience, where we encounter particular instances of their application. Victor Cousin's exploration of the absolute or infinite provides valuable insights into the limitations of human knowledge and the complexities of understanding the unconditioned ground of reality. His philosophy prompts us to question our assumptions, recognize the relativity of our perceptions, and approach the mysteries of existence with humility and openness. Victor Cousin, a prominent philosopher of the 19th century, delved into the nature of the self and its role as a cause of force. He pondered whether the self is observed as an acting or originating cause, or if its existence and character are inferred through reflection on the principle of causality. Cousin recognized that if the self is indeed given, there would be no need for causality to infer it. However, if the self is not immediately observed, causality alone could never provide us with the notion or fact of self as a cause or force. Cousin understood that causality could only warrant the existence of a cause of some sort, but not necessarily the specific reality as the cause. Moreover, if the principle of causality is universally and necessarily applied, it would not allow us to stop at personality or will as the ultimate cause of volition. It would lead us into an infinite regress of causes, pushing us to seek a further cause or ground beyond the initial antecedent of volition. The same criticism can be applied to the influence of the not-self, or the world of forces that correspond to our sensations and cause them. Causality, starting from sensation, can only inform us about the existence of a cause for sensation, without revealing the specific nature of this cause. It cannot inform us that this cause is a force or sum of forces existing independently of us and corresponding to our sensations because such a notion is not part of our consciousness. Cousin believed that causality cannot expand the number of our notions or realities known. Its role is simply to compel us to think that there is a cause for a given change, without providing any further information about the cause itself. Sensation may arise from a will similar to our own, albeit infinitely more powerful, acting upon us. This possibility, within the limits of probability, emerges from the principle of causality, as we already acknowledge the existence of such a reality, a will, in our own consciousness. In his quest to vindicate these points through reflection, Cousin relinquished the advantage of immediate and spontaneous apprehension of these realities. He recognized that the inference of an absolute cause from the self and not self, the two limited forces, faces the same criticism. While immediate spontaneous apprehension may grasp this supreme reality, attempting to justify it through reflection as an inference poses challenges. Victor Cousin's exploration of the self as a cause of force and his examination of the limitations of causality's ability to reveal the nature of the self and the not-self remain thought-provoking to this day. His insights encourage us to question our understanding of causality and the complexity of the forces that shape our perceptions and experiences. By contemplating these philosophical concepts, we can develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, enabling us to navigate daily life with greater clarity and insight.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.